The food industry is also one of the primary nutritional researchers too. So when you look at most of the clinical data that is out there and the studies that are being created, it's being created by the food industry itself. And as I told you before, their primary priority is their bottom line. So they're going to create studies that are in alignment with their products. And this is what's important. They're not doing this individually. So General Mills isn't just making a study by itself. General Mills that knows that it's using the same sugar that Coca-Cola is. So guess what? These companies are getting together to fund these studies. These are billion-dollar companies that amount to trillions when you put them together collectively. Okay, so it's a huge issue. And so when you start to think about that, then you get an ethical study created by somebody who's an independent author or independent scientist, maybe myself, maybe somebody else. And we don't have an inkling of the funding that they have. And then we create this study that shows that their study is not only flawed, but their study is neglectful and intentionally wrong. And guess what? They go right back to the drawing board, create 10 other studies, hire the top scientists at Harvard and Cornell and so forth to refute me, go against me, and then put it in esteemed journals and newspapers and media. And then I look like the crazy person. That's exactly how it happens over and over again. All right. Another reason why the food industry is so corrupt, this is number seven, is because they create and puppet front groups and councils. They create and puppet front groups. So they're literally creating front groups that ride along with their initiative. Let me give you an example. One example would be the Alliance for Food and Farming. Okay, so that's, most people hear that, Alliance for Food and Farming. That sounds like somebody who's about making sure the food and farming is in good standing, and nope, funded and created by the food industry itself. And I'm not talking about good food industry. I'm talking about the food industry that is killing us, okay? Give you another one. Bell's Institute of Health and Nutrition, okay? You hear that, you think to yourself, Bell's Institute of Health and Nutrition. Okay, so they're about health and nutrition. This has got to be good. If I see a study from there, it's got to be right. It's got to be good. It's got to be scientific, right? Nope. Owned by General Mills. Okay, give you another one. Beverage Institute for Health and Wellness. Okay, you hear that one, you're like, all right, this is the Beverage Institute. They're definitely going to be advocating for people to drink natural spring water. Guess who owns them? Coca-Cola. So the point that I'm trying to make is, a lot of times when you see these studies or you see these prominent scientists who are, heading up these institutions and these new front groups that you have no idea who the origin is, but then when you check the funding, you find out, oh, it's General Mills. It's, people who are making Frosted Flakes and Fruity Pebbles and Coca-Cola, creating these front groups who basically ride their cause into politics and regulations and law. Okay, so it's really important. And these groups, when they come out, they're saying things like GMO foods are safe. Okay, so whenever you hear me say you should not be eating genetically modified foods, and then you hear 30 other studies from prominent scientists who have been paid off that says there's no science that confirms that organic is any more nutritious than non-organic, this is where it's coming from. This is why it makes no sense to argue against it. Okay, same thing. They'll come out with another saying, meat and milk are essential to health. Okay, again, it came from the beef industry, okay, and the cattle and the dairy industry. Coke Zero is a healthier alternative or option, okay? They won't mention to you that the sugar itself that is used in Coke Zero, that is no calories, is actually a neurotoxin. Okay, never mention that. When you hear these statements that says trans fat don't lead to cardiovascular death, an increase in cardiovascular death, although 30 other countries have not only banned trans fat, but have proven that they increase the risk for cardiovascular death. This is where it's coming from. When you hear things like pesticides are not bad for you, all you got to do is just wash them off. And they're helping to serve the world because they're solving the world hunger issue. These are the places that it's coming from. It's not coming from an ethical place. It's not coming from a place that is based in non-biased science, evidence-based science. Okay, so it's just really important to understand that, but it's very difficult to be able to fight against a company or a conglomerate that can put millions of dollars, not only into the fake news or the fake science, but put millions, if not billions of dollars into institutions, into scientists, well-esteemed scientists who could be bought and traded and sold for, who could all go against you in one swoop. Okay, so it's just important for people to know and understand that this is what's happening every day here in America and many other countries. All right, number 8, and this is the most important, and this one's probably gonna strike a nerve with a lot of you. The number 8 reason why the food industry is so corrupt is because we participate in our own demise by voting with our dollars when we buy the food that they put out on the shelves. I'm gonna repeat that. We participate in our own demise when we decide to vote with our dollars by buying the food that they put out on the shelf. Every time you go out and buy the Pop-Tarts, the Sunny D, the Sunny Delight, the Chick-fil-A, whose chicken sandwich has 55 ingredients of it, 2 being monosodium glutamate, which is, is a known neurotoxin and causes you to be addicted. When you choose to vote with your dollars, because every time you buy food, you make a choice, you're voting with your dollars. Each time you do that, you're saying yes to this. You're saying yes to that, and you're saying no to the healthy alternatives. And it's important for us to know and understand that our greatest power is our ability to be not only disciplined, but our ability to say no when it's time to say no. But we're steady voting in the direction of the food companies. Like, when you think about the convenience of it all, is why most people are making these choices. But what people aren't thinking about is the inconvenience of being unhealthy, the inconvenience of losing days, months, and years off of your life. You're not thinking about those inconveniences. So it's really important we know and understand that we're contributing to a corrupt system every time we vote with our dollars. Every time you go into the supermarket, every item that you're purchasing, you're voting with your dollars to have that on the shelf. So sometimes when I want to buy something, I don't buy it because I think with that mentality. Okay? So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 4 tips. I'm going to give you 4 tips that can help you kind of curve this corruption that's happening with our food and within the food industry. Number 1, start to grow your own food. I don't care if it's growing a few herbs on the windowsill, but start to grow your own food. Get to a place where you're comfortable with saying, damn, I really created my own food. I made some tomatoes, I put that in my salad, and I made some peppers and put that in my salad, and made a little bit of this basil, and I was able to put that in my salad. I contributed to my salad by growing this. And you could do that in an apartment. You don't have to do that necessarily with a backyard or with a farm. Okay, so one of the top ways that you can start this process, and consider herbs are some of the more expensive things. So, that number 1, grow your own food. Number 2, Start to buy food from ethical farmers like myself. So as you guys know, at iHeart Fruit Box, we sell tropical fruit. Okay, tropical fruit being things like soursop, naseberry, star apple, you know, the list goes on and on. Guava, Barbados cherries, um, sugar apple, mangoes. We sell tropical fruit on my farm, all right? And the beautiful thing about it is that all the fruits are seeded, so no seedless fruit. All of them are seasonal. So if it's not in season, guess what? We're not selling it because it's not in season. All the fruits are grown organically as well too. Okay, so you don't have to worry, panic, because it's organic, it's seeded, okay, and it's seasonal. That's what I'm talking about. You got to support farmers like that, and it's important to support farmers like that because I may not ever convert, but you got a struggling farmer who will say, you know what, they're unwilling to buy this healthy stuff the way I love it, so I'll just make it this way for my family, and I'll sell them all the conventional junk that they love. And that's what ends up happening with a lot of farmers. So number 2, buy food from ethical farmers. You could check out my farm and all those fruits at iHeartFruitBox.com. All right.